Hi everyone! Today I thought I'd share a story with you from my younger years, and it's one that I feel has an important message. I do apologise in advance because I'm going to have to be a bit vague on some of the details here, and that's because the way that I'm going to talk about the people and the organisation involved in this story isn't really reflective of our relationship as a whole. And this story as well, it could have taken place anywhere. It's just unfortunate it happened to me and it happened with these people. So I'd like you to take away from this the message behind the story, as opposed to thinking that I'm discrediting anybody in particular, because that's not what I'm trying to do. A while ago, I went to an audition in which my singing ability was being judged. The organisation this audition was for was very used to seeing talented musicians, and most of the people in this organisation could read music as a standard, although it wasn't strictly necessary to have a successful audition. My audition was comprised of two parts. Firstly, I had to do a performance, and this was of a song that I knew really well, and if he'd asked me to, I probably could have sang it backwards. And then I had to do an on-the-spot test of how well I could read music. And this was the bit that I was a lot more nervous for. I studied music in high school until the age of 16. For those of you who are familiar with the Scottish qualification system, I took higher music and I got a B, which is a fairly advanced level and it's the second top grade that you can get. So I was quite pleased with that. And although I'd studied music for quite a while by the time I was 16, there wasn't a huge emphasis on knowing how to read it. And as I wasn't in the school orchestra and I didn't play any particularly complicated instruments, it wasn't particularly an important skill for me to be able to read music. When it came time to testing my sight singing ability, I told the person holding the audition right away that I did not know how to read music. For those of you who haven't ever tried to read music, it's a bit like translating a foreign language. And although I knew a few key words and could tell you whether or not the next note was up or down, ultimately there wasn't very much sense that I could have taken from this page in order to show any sort of intelligence. So the person holding the audition didn't say anything. And after what felt like 30 minutes of awkward silence, but was probably more like 10 seconds, I finally gave a random guess. And I got it wrong. At this point, the person holding the audition gave me a prompt, and this prompt would have been helpful for somebody who was a little nervous at the audition but knew in their mind how to read music. Unfortunately, I didn't know how to read music, and this prompt meant nothing to me. The next sentence this person said to me really insulted me to the point that I felt I had to speak up. And that maybe doesn't seem like a big deal, but I was very shy at the time and I didn't speak back to anybody. This person asked me, how did I manage to pass a fairly advanced music course with a fairly good grade when I didn't even know how to read music? It was the tone that irritated me the most. Like I said, reading music wasn't an important skill in my classes in order to pass, and I'd rehearse all my performances, so I'd be able to do them confidently without needing any prompts. I wasn't the only one who did this. Everybody else in my class worked exactly the same, regardless of whether or not they could read music. Reading music is a wonderful skill, and it would have made things easier, but it wasn't vital for passing this course, and I didn't like the way that he said it to me, as though he was accusing me of cheating. Telling somebody that they can't pass a music course because they can't read music is like telling somebody that they can't come up with a good story because they can't write. The two things, although they seem connected, aren't really connected at all. I'd like to think that the person who said this to me was just taken by surprise. They live and work in such a talented community. Maybe they'd just forgotten that people don't have this skill as a standard. Or maybe it was a genuine misunderstanding. Maybe they really thought I could read music, and that I was just so nervous and if I just calmed down for a minute, it would all make sense. It doesn't really matter either way, but what matters is the underlying message here. Don't judge people with big ambitions, even if they seem to be lacking an important skill. What they're trying to achieve might be impossible, or with a little inventive thinking and some determination, it might be just as achievable to them as everyone else. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Leave your comments down below, especially if you have any stories related to this. I'd love to hear them. Thank you very much. Cheerio.